Hey guys, it's me, Orangienblue, and it's that time of year again where I get to disappoint people. I had two options I could talk about today. It was either Super Mario Galaxy or raccoons. For generations, Mario has been known as the face of gaming. Even if you've never played a video game, you know who Mario is. Every game stands out from the last and improves in almost every aspect, but while doing so, they still manage to make sure the older games don't feel outdated by the newer ones. And still, after 15 years, this game holds the test of time. This is a video I've been trying to make for years now. I've restarted this video about 3 times, just trying to make sure I can encapsulate how immaculate this game truly is. So, let's take a look at how this game came into fruition. The development of Super Mario Galaxy can be dated all the way back to the GameCube, where they showed off a tech demo of something they called Mario 128, which had 128 Marios running around on a spherical platform. While Mario 128 was never made into a real thing, you can still see the ideas of characters walking on a globe using Galaxy. It wasn't until E3 2006 where we saw a full look of what would become Super Mario Galaxy. On November 1st, 2007, Super Mario Galaxy was finally released to the public, and everyone bought it. Except me. What can I say? I was 4 years old and I was busy not paying taxes or something, I don't know. It wasn't until the game was released as a Nintendo Select in 2011 where I finally got the chance to pick it up. Super Mario Galaxy was meant to be the next Mario 64. You see, there was this game in between 64 and Galaxy, but we don't really talk about that one too much. While Galaxy may be more linear than 64 and Sunshine, I think it's for the better. 64 and Galaxy's levels are about the same size, and in some cases, Galaxy's levels are even bigger. In Mario 64, there's about 6 stars in every level, while in Mario Galaxy, there are a lot more worlds or galaxies, you could say, that have at least 4 to 6 in each, with smaller ones only having 2 to 3. One other comparison I see people make is the hub, which, yes, I do agree Peach's castle is bigger and it has more secrets, but I still think the Comet Observatory still has a lot to offer. It might not have any underground tunnels or hidden levels in the walls, but there's something that makes it so special. It really feels lived in, with all these Lumas and Toads walking around. It adds a lot of character and charm to this. Another major part is the music. They play this wistful melody on a music box, and the more you complete the game, the louder and more orchestral the song gets. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Before we talk about the music, we need to talk about the gameplay is both very similar and vastly different to other entries in the series. I think Galaxy has introduced more mechanics than any other game. Of course, the main innovation is the gravity. With 2D games, Mario can move across the X and the Y. When 64 introduced 3D gameplay, Mario can move 360 degrees. Now with Galaxy and Mario being able to walk around a spherical planet, he can move A equals 4 times pi times r radius squared. The gravity in this game can get intense from moving planet to planet. There's something just so satisfying about getting pulled into the different planets. There's a lot of experimentation with how the gravity works. For example, there's these weird spin lever things that if you hit it changes the direction of gravity. Now, does this scientifically make sense? No, but who cares? It's a Mario game. There's just so many new ideas introduced where you stop and wonder how they managed to put so much new content and mechanics in the first level that most AAA studios can fit into an entire game. Launch stars take you from different planets or locations, vines that swing from the ground and spin you across planets, flip switch panels that are used to walk across to open up a new location, dandelions, swings, trampolines, moving platform, gum-like pod things that can fling you around, and my favorite, the pull stars. Pull stars are where you point the Wii remote at the screen and it pulls you across space. All of these that I just mentioned are just a mere fraction of what this game has to offer. Galaxy doesn't have a problem with introducing a new idea and just moving on to the next one in a blink of an eye. One minute you could be riding on the back of a manta ray, and the next you could be in an underwater planet fighting a skeleton slug with shells. Every level is distinct from one another. Buoy Base is a half dome of water with a big metal base and cannons shooting from side to side where you hit a lever to make the water slowly rise to the top. Freeze Flame Galaxy is a level that splits half into ice, half lava. Toy Time Galaxy is where you run around a giant toy Bowser to try to disassemble it piece by piece. I wish I could go into more detail with each level, but I just can't with the sheer amount of quantity in this game. Honey Hive Galaxy, Battle Rock Galaxy, Beach Bowl Galaxy, Ghosty Galaxy, Gusty Garden, Deep Dark Galaxy, and Dreadnought Galaxy are all outstanding levels. And after all the levels I just named, that isn't even half of the levels this game has to offer. And of course, how can I forget to mention the power-ups? First we have B Mario, and this is probably like the coolest power-up in like any game. I don't know why, but turning into a bee and just flying around is just like really cool. And then you've got the Fire Flower, which works how you would expect, except it's timed, and it's like really slow, and when you throw a fireball it like slows you down, and I kind of hate this item to be honest. And then you have the Ice Flower, which is a bit different than how you see it in later games, where you actually turn into ice and you can like walk on water. And then there's another pretty cool power-up, the Boo Mushroom, where Mario turns into a boo and he can kind of like float around and go through walls. And then probably like the most controversial item, the String Mushroom, which honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of. It's always a pain to use and kind of hard to navigate, but it honestly still is kind of fun. Then you've got the Rainbow Star, which only shows up a couple times, and it's basically just like the Invincibility Star from previous games. And then one of like the lesser known items, I guess, is the Red Star, which you get once you kind of like get towards the end of the game. And this power was actually only used in 2 levels, and then you can only use it in the hub world, so it's kind of pointless to be honest, but it looks pretty cool. Not only that, but the boss battles in this game are really fun. My favorite has to be Poltergeist in this lava octopus thing. Poltergeist is this really cool rock monster thing where you throw these like ghost bomb things at him, and it has this booming soundtrack in the back, and it's amazing. And then, I don't know, this lava one which looks cool. The Bowser and the Bowser Jr. fights are probably the best in the series. Surprisingly, I think the first fight from Bowser Jr. is my favorite. There's just something about scaling up the side of this mech with this tense music pounding in the back that always makes it a treat to play. Now, I can't mention bosses without mentioning the final Bowser fight. This is seriously the best fight in any Mario game. Before the battle even starts, Bowser is spitting fireballs at you left and right, destroying platforms you're walking on. There's 3 different stages to this fight. In the first one, Bowser turns into a boulder and rolls around, and you have to hit him just in the right spot to have him spinning around. The second part is pretty similar, but you have to hit him with these green ball things instead. And then for the last part, you're on this glass dome, where Bowser comes rushing down, and you have to burn his tail in this lava so you can spin him like in the previous sections. And all this comes together in creating the greatest boss fight we'll probably ever see in a Mario game. A lot of people try to make the argument that Galaxy 2 is better just because it's more fleshed out, and while I do believe the pure platforming in Galaxy 2 is better than the first game, the atmosphere in Galaxy 1 far outperforms the sequel. The aesthetic of Mario Galaxy is unmatched by any games that came before or after it. It may not be the biggest graphical achievement, but the way the galaxies are crafted makes them look so majestic and lifelike. Combine this with a stunning soundtrack, and you get a truly immersive experience you couldn't get anywhere else. Like every time I play 3D World, I get completely taken out of the mood, because the majority of the game just looks like the first thing you get when you type in Mario into Google Images. Even Odyssey, which I consider to be one of the best looking games on Switch, has parts that look like it was made in a level editor. Now, one thing that separates Galaxy from like many other games is that it has an actual story. Now, don't get me wrong, it's no Uncharted or God of War, but it gets the job done for a Mario game. Bowser in this game actually feels like a threat. In other Mario games, Bowser just kind of walks up and grabs Peach and runs away, and that's kind of it. But in this game, Bowser is terrifying. He comes in with this giant UFO looking thing, and he rips the castle from the ground up. And the lighting just really makes it look very cinematic. One of the more interesting parts of Galaxy's story is Rosalina. Rosalina is the captain of the Comet Observatory and is a prominent character throughout the game. A big part of the story comes from the book that Rosalina has. The storybook is completely optional throughout your playthrough. You unlock new chapters as you play throughout the game. She goes on this journey to find her mom, and then she meets a Luma, a living starbit thing, I don't know. After going back to her home, she remembers that she would never see her mother again, because she was buried underneath this tree by her house. Huh. This is the most story any character has gotten in a Mario game, and it adds a whole new level and tone to the entire game. The last hub area is the garden. The garden is probably the only part in the game that doesn't have any music. It's just complete ambience. A place to stop and think. This place you're at is actually the tutorial at the beginning of the game, the first place you land when you play. There's something about this game that makes it so perfect. Instead of opting for an upbeat soundtrack made on a soundboard, Galaxy actually takes a different approach. The soundtrack in this game mainly consists of a live orchestra with cinematic and relaxing songs that set the tone for each level in the game. Even when you're not even in the game yet, the menu music, the level selection screen, and even the saving music all invoke a sense of mystery and ambience in the game. I'm not even joking when I say this is one of the greatest scores ever written for a video game. But that said, it still isn't perfect. Now, where I will say this game is lacking is in the post-game content. Once you beat the game, you can go back and get all 120 stars just like in any other Mario game. But the problem is that there's a lot of these remaining stars that are just prankster comments. These consist of collecting purple coins, speedruns, outrunning your clone, or these Daredevil comments where you only get one life to complete the level. These get repetitive very fast. They spawn randomly so you can't even pick which one you want to do first. So if there's one you don't like and it's the only one available, you have to play that level. They also play this stupid song for all the timed missions, which to be fair, it's not a bad track per se, but it encapsulates just the anxiety attack I would feel if I was tightroping over the Grand Canyon. But say you finished all that, you finally get 120 stars. What's after that?
Super Luigi Galaxy!
I've been reincarnated. Yeah, so now you can go through and play the entire game as Luigi. And I actually kind of like this idea, because Luigi has a different playstyle than Mario does, and it's far cooler than what 64 and Sunshine did. All Mario 64 gave you was 100 lives, and Sunshine basically just gave you a pat on the back. But Luigi isn't the final unlockable in the game. If you 100% the game as Mario and Luigi, you unlock the final level. This sucks. It's hard to give it too much slack, because this is the first Mario game to have a final level, but for 100% in the game, come on. You're making me play through this whole game twice, just so I can walk around a tutorial and get coins. I'm glad they decided to change this in later games, because this is just lame. But all that aside, it's without question that Super Mario Galaxy is one of the greatest games of all time. And with Nintendo finally deciding to port it to Switch, I fell in love all over again. I really hope Nintendo is able to make something as great as this again. Yeah, so Mario Galaxy may be my favorite game of all time, but it's not like they could do it again. Right? Right?